Hello, and welcome to another episode of 3C Money Matters, a podcast for clients, colleagues, and community. I'm Alyce Zollman from the 3C Group of Baird, and joining me today as team co-hosts are my very esteemed colleagues, Dan Matthews and Colleen Curry. Dan, Colleen, how are you guys this morning?
Doing great this morning.
Fabulous. Happy to be here. Thank you, Alyce.
Yeah, well, glad to be alongside you. It's been kind of a dreary, little bit rainy morning here in Bloomington, but as always, your smiling faces and the glare off of Dan's head bring a smile to my face. I'm just kidding, Danimal. Well, we appreciate all of our listeners joining us. Again, this is a podcast and show that we hope helps inform, maybe entertain a little bit, but back up our team's mission to be a great teammate for clients, colleagues, and community. This morning, we're fortunate to have two guests from community foundations that we work closely with that really helps back up that community portion of our team's mission statement. We'll introduce them in just a moment, but just to give some quick background, there are over 900 community foundations across the United States. They operate in areas both in urban and rural and play a vital role in public philanthropy by connecting donors and families with community needs and managing charitable assets. So, without further ado, we are so fortunate to have Kim Kasting, who is the president and CEO of the Johnson County Community Foundation, and then Meagan, who is the Director of Development and Chief Operating Officer for the Community Foundation of Bloomington and Monroe County. So, ladies, welcome. How are you both this morning?
We're doing great.
Great. Thank you for having us.
Well, we are fortunate to have you both. Kim's joining us from Franklin. They're in Johnson County. And Meagan, I'm assuming you're right here alongside us in Bloomington. So,
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Well, and I hope with both Franklin and Bloomington being college towns, certainly hope we both or all survived college student move-in.
Yeah, I think we just had a meeting this morning with Kristen Flora from Franklin College, and she said freshmen moved in yesterday. So I think everyone else arrives today or tomorrow.
I think we're all avoiding Target in Bloomington. So I get that the students are back.
Yeah. Wise words. Well, if you've joined our podcast previously, you'll know that one of the first questions we ask all of our guests to help get to know them a little bit and hopefully have a little bit of fun too, is what is your favorite movie and why? Beyond that, the challenge for us as team hosts is to then try and work in quotes from that movie, or in this case, those movies, naturally throughout the episode. So let's go ahead and get into it. Meagan, I'll start with you. What is your favorite movie and why?
Well, I have a few, but if I had to pick one for this, it's The Princess Bride. And I just think it's so witty, and there's a lot of great little one-liners and throughout the whole movie, so it makes for a great quotable one to reference with people. So I'm a huge fan. I read the book that Carrie wrote, Carrie Ells, who plays, her love. And it was, anyway, I loved all the behind the scenes from the movie too. So it's great.
Should we call you Princess Buttercup throughout the podcast today?
Yes, please. With the princess, I need to be, it's my own. Thank you.
Well, Meagan, I don't mean to pry, but you don't by chance happen to have 6 fingers on your right hand?
You do not. So I think I should be safe, right? There should be. But if you find a way to work in the ROUSs into this podcast, I'm going to
That's an unusual size. Yes. Very good. All right. Kim, what about you? What's your favorite movie and why?
Yeah, so I'm actually embarrassed to say that I've never actually watched The Princess Bride. So now I feel obligated to go home and watch that. So that is on the agenda now for this weekend. But my favorite movie, I think, and it just comes down to nostalgia, is Grease. my grandparents had an old RCA Select Division. Does anyone know what that is? And it's like, it looks like a big vinyl record and it's in like a plastic case and you would put it in and you'd have to lock it. And then halfway through, you'd have to pull it out and flip it over. And they only had like 4 movies. And Grease was the one we watched on repeat when we visited their house. And we sang all the songs with my cousins. And now looking back, should I have been watching that at that age? I'm not sure.
Fair point.
I just have so many fond memories of like sharing that with my cousins and being at my grandparents. And I think that's probably why that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Could you tell me more? Tell me more? Tell me more?
Dan, you know you're the one that I want. You're the one that I want.
My name is Danny, after all.
Look at me, I'm Sandra D. Yes, we can work with those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Well, let's get into the actual content of our episode. And ultimately, community foundations are a great way for people and families to give and contribute to their community during their lifetime, certainly after death. And August is actually National Make a Will Month. Not a particularly pleasant or happy topic to think about, except when you frame it in the sense of, what do you want your assets, your legacy to be for your family? And in our opinion, community foundations can be a great partner in helping those objectives. So, Kim, I'll start with you. Generally speaking, what is a community foundation? What do they do? And what do you want people to know about them?
Yeah. So I think you started off the podcast with a great explanation about how community foundations are everywhere. Indiana, I think we need to acknowledge as unique in the world of community foundations. Lilly Endowment, many moons ago, probably about 30 to 35 years for all community foundations in the state of Indiana, realized the impact that community foundations could have. And they wanted one in every community and every county represented by a community foundation. So they launched a lot of different challenge initiatives for community foundations to get up and going to respond to community needs. So there are 92 counties in Indiana, and we're all represented, and every county is represented by a community foundation. We are tax-exempt charitable organizations that have a local focus. And so we really aren't competitive against one another. We all learn well from what everyone does, and we work to build community endowment. And so we have that local focus to respond to community needs. Like I said, we build community endowment. And when we say community endowment, instead of having one donor, we work with a whole bunch of donors to bring those gifts together, to really pool those resources, invest those resources wisely with partners, financial partners like Baird, and spend those dollars back out into the community. We provide great donor services because we know the local needs here in our community. And so we can work with donors to respond to those needs in a timely fashion and in important ways. We also can provide community leadership here in our community. So when we see that, for instance, the Johnson County Community Foundation is taking a lead initiative on early care and education, we know that our community are providers. There's not enough providers here in our community. There's wage gaps. There's workforce issues. And so our community foundation has formed a coalition and is taking a leadership initiative on that issue as well. So we really are the philanthropic savings account for our communities. We invest those dollars wisely, hope that they grow, and we have those here in perpetuity so we can continue to respond to those needs in our community. That's just a tidbit of what we do.
That's wonderful. We appreciate it. Meagan, can you tell us a bit about how people can get involved with a community foundation to give either during their lifetime or at death via their will, trust, or estate plan?
Yeah, I think Kim did a great job of explaining that, community foundations really are a way to help individuals, families achieve whatever their philanthropic vision is for the place they call home. And so during their lifetime, when people are in the community living, a lot of times we'll see them give to one of the hundreds of existing funds that most community foundations are administering, right? And we have all different funds, all created by either an individual, a family, maybe a business, or a nonprofit to support a particular purpose. And so oftentimes people are coming to their community foundation because they really care about a field of philanthropic interest like education or animal welfare or youth development. And they want to support that and ensure that their community will always have the means to continue that important work forever, in perpetuity, like Kim said. So some might choose to open a donor advised fund, which functions like a charitable checkbook really for a family as they're thinking about their ongoing giving during their lifetime. So that's a primary way that we see people coming to a community foundation for their lifetime giving. But in terms of estate giving, and like you're talking about with Make a Will Month, community foundations also are a great vehicle for when people are thinking about their legacy giving, which for most of us will be the most significant gift that we give. It comes at the end of our lifetime, right? And so most people, not all, but most that I talk to, when they're thinking about that significant legacy gift, they want it to be something that isn't spent down in 6 months. You know, they don't want that lifetime of accumulated hard work and care to necessarily be all gone in 1 year. And so the idea of an endowment, you know, that perpetually provides support for whatever that charitable cause is forever is a really great option when people are thinking about how do I want that a true legacy gift I make to endure. And so I think with planned giving, with estate giving, a community foundation is a great option for that. And additionally, foundations are generally able to accept more complex assets that, you know, your local nonprofit may or may not be able to do, right? They're trying to do the good work every day, boots on the ground. But, you know, if someone has business interests or real estate, some of those things can be just a little more complicated. And a community foundation is meant to be a resource to be able to work alongside professional advisors like Baird to structure those charitable gifts and realize those in an effective way when someone's ready to make that legacy gift.
Colleen, I know you're actively involved as a board member of the Community Foundation of Bloomington and Monroe County. Can you talk a little bit about your work with your clients or our team's clients and where you have found a community foundation to be a great resource in helping that family create and continue a legacy? Just a couple of examples that stand out to you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And I am a proud board member of the Community Foundation alongside of Meagan. And I think as a part of our team and our financial planning tenets, we believe in financial planning, you know, tax planning, and then that estate planning piece. So we're constantly addressing that in terms of with our clients and where their legacy may lie and how we can incorporate that with the tax efficient status, whether it's planned giving through estate plans and or while they're living. And so many times clients have either chosen to open a donor advised fund at the Community Foundation where they're then directing and or working with their own children to create that legacy. But many times when clients are philanthropic and they want to name a specific charity at end of life, but they want to make sure that they leave a longer lasting impression on the community, that's a great opportunity for me to reach out to the Community Foundation and bring them into the conversation. Another specific example would be if they have a very specific area of focus that they want to support, but they don't maybe know what entity to name. Allowing the Community Foundation that flexibility to continue to monitor that over that legacy and lifetime allows that client and that to really create a longer lasting financial legacy within the community, whether it's a special interest or even into the general purpose fund for the community foundation. And that empowers the community foundation then to really address the main concerns of the community at that time, which maybe we can't predict. But a client wants to make sure that they can create that lasting legacy as they go along.
So, for example, Inigo Montoya spent all those years looking for the six-fingered man who killed his father, trying to track him down. So in theory, could Inigo Montoya have come to a community foundation to create a special purpose fund, the Montoya Family Fund, to pool resources to find the six-fingered man and avenge his father? Is that kind of the idea?
Does the IRS consider that charitable? I don't know.
Inconceivable, Alyce. Inconceivable. But it really doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's what you do with your dancing shoes. I'm telling you. So that was Grease. I had to get one in.
Well, I think that does bring up a good point. And I know one thing that our team believes is very unique about giving via a community foundation is the ability to give to either a general fund or a special interest, family named fund. Kim, I'll start with you, and then I'm sure Meagan can expand as well. But Kim, can you tell us a little bit more about giving to a general fund versus a special interest, special purpose family fund?
Yeah. Like you said, community foundations are special in the aspect that we have a huge pool of options for our donors. So they can give general and they can give designated. The great thing about those donors that are philanthropically minded and want to support the community, but maybe don't really know all the interest or what's out there, they can give to the general fund of the community foundation. These are dollars that are given and they're flexible and responsive for the community foundation to utilize for those current needs, those ever-changing needs. You don't know what they are, especially in the economic world that we live in now. So those are those dollars that the community foundation really can utilize on an annual basis to respond to those important needs. It's also, a community impact multiplier. So like you give a little here and they give a little here, and it adds up to be a big pot of money that we usually can utilize to respond to those needs. And I really do consider all the community foundations, the local experts in the needs in their community, because we work with so many of our nonprofit partners. We really know what they need at any given year. Some years it's just operational dollars, and some years it's programming dollars, and sometimes it's those state-funded dollars that have been cut. And so we can really utilize those general fund dollars to really respond the best to those needs. So I think that's the joy of giving to the general fund at the community foundation. And if you have that trust with your local community foundation, I really do feel that that's the best way to give. And then those dollars, as that endowment continues to build, your unrestricted endowment at your community foundation, you're able to continue to respond to those needs forever. Designated funds are also, that's the joy of a community foundation too. I know I want to support my fur babies beyond my lifetime because I loved them and blah, 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 So you want to name a fund for the Humane Society of your community because you just love the work that they do. And so, and we ensure that organization is doing the work that, when you establish the fund, they continue to do that work. And we do our due diligence and all of that when we make those grants out on an annual basis. So, donor advised funds, it just honors the passions and the values that donor has at that time. So that's important of the designated funds. There's not one better than the other. It's really the joy and the services that the community foundations can offer our clients and our community members.
I had one question about general funds. If somebody wants to give back to the community and they say, we trust you, but there's these certain charitable organizations that I don't really want to support, I'd like to have a little bit more emphasis. Can they put some restrictions or some guidance to their bequest when they donate to the general fund? Is there any way to track that or separate that from the general fund?
For sure. I'll chime in, but I'm sure Meagan has a lot on this too. I just actually received a large bequest, and it was a field of interest fund, and it wanted to do veterans, those organizations that deal with food insecurity, and seniors particularly. But there was a line in there. It said, "Do not fund XYZ organization." And so for whatever reason, that donor was very passionate about that, and we will honor those wishes. That's also the joy and the benefit of Community Foundation. We can do those things to make sure that their charitable wishes are met, and we honor those beyond their lifetime.
I agree with Kim, and I think that's part of what I love about my job here is that I really get to. It's such a privilege, I think, to come alongside a family while they're thinking through what really matters to them and the lasting impact they want to have on the community. And so getting to partner with them and help shape what does matter to you. What do we need to be clear on that you are not interested in supporting with this gift? And let's structure that in such a way that your intentions are going to be honored forever when I'm long gone, And so having those kinds of provisions and having that dialogue before you receive a bequest is so valuable, just to be able to really truly understand intent, so that you can honor what that donor wants, forever.
So basically a family comes to you, outlines their goals and objectives, and you do your best to say, as Wesley says to Buttercup, "As you wish."
That is exactly right.
Yeah. Gosh, Kim, I'm sorry. We're not doing so great on the Grease quotes, but we're trying.
It's okay.
A couple of other things, and Colleen, perhaps you can expand on this as well, but that I think are important as people think about their giving again during life or at death. I know when most people give charitably, they're not doing so just for the tax advantages. They're doing it because they care or they want to create a legacy and an impact. But Colleen, particularly during life, can you talk about some of the ways qualified charitable distributions and so forth that we often see clients giving in a tax efficient manner to charities, community foundations, and otherwise?
Absolutely. I would say the qualified charitable distribution is very powerful for clients. That particularly allows them to give out of their required minimum distributions directly from their IRA, and thereby not accepting the taxable income of that gift that year. Also, donor advice funds are very powerful for them, and bunching, utilizing that bunching strategy to gift higher in that specific tax year to get the higher tax benefit to create the donor advice fund, of which then becomes their own sort of endowment, right? That they can then invest and then utilize charitable gifting out of to support the local causes that's important specifically to their family. So those are, I think, the two most common ways. Many times often we'll see legacy, low basis stock, high capital gain stock that clients might have, or a high concentration in a stock. That's another great way that they can avoid paying capital gains on that asset and gift that to a community foundation to also achieve their goals.
Wonderful.
Instead of spending their summer days drifting away on those summer nights, they can be very, very efficient.
But those summer nights.
I didn't try to sing that because that would have been terrible.
I did want to ask if you would recommend that, people send their QCD to the community. Oh, wait, I'll stop writing it. I mean it. Does anybody want to peel it?
That is a Princess Bride quote.
That is a Princess Bride
from the great Andre the Giant, or Fezzik, I believe.
I had to get an Andre the Giant in there.
Well, Kim and Meagan, we want to thank you both sincerely for taking some time to join us this morning, helping us learn a bit about community foundations and how people can ultimately create a lasting legacy and impact. So thank you very much. For our listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Certainly, if you have any questions about community foundations, as there's likely one in your area, please don't hesitate to let our team know. But thank you so much for joining us for 3C Money Matters. You can find this episode and other episodes on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
This broadcast contains the current opinions of the host and are subject to change. The broadcast is provided for informational purposes only, is not a complete analysis of every material fact regarding any company, industry, or security, and should not be considered investment advice or recommendations. Investors should obtain professional advice before making investment decisions. The information has been obtained from sources considered reliable, but its accuracy is not guaranteed. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and diversification does not ensure a profit or protect against loss. All investments carry some level of risk, including loss of principal. Baird is not a legal or tax services provider, and you are strongly encouraged to seek the advice of the appropriate professional advisors before taking any action. Investors should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of a fund carefully before investing. This and other information is found in the prospectus and summary prospectus. For a prospectus, please contact your financial professional and read it carefully before investing. This broadcast may not be reproduced without express permission of Robert W. Baird & Company Incorporated, member SIPC.